Do you think about your thoughts? Hi, I'm Scarlett Classic, and welcome to Classic Advice, a mental health podcast offering guidance for resilient souls, anchoring calm amid the chaos. I know that that's a funny thing to say. Do you think about your thoughts? But thinking about our thoughts, being self-aware of them, I've talked about before about learning to recognize when your thoughts are lying to you on my social media platform. I know for sure, but I'm not sure if I've ever said that in here, but sometimes your thoughts lie to you. Learning to recognize when your thoughts are lying to you, detaching and almost taking that step back and realizing that your brain is constantly producing thoughts. They're random. Some of them are negative. Some of them are positive. Some of them are weird, strange. It bounces all over the place. And some of them are not aligned with who you want to be. Knowing that we can't control our thoughts, so not trying to control our thoughts. Instead, what we can do is, like I've explained about meditation, is meditating is when you decide to, like, for example, I know I mentioned this when I was talking about sleep, the one episode, but if you missed that, I'll say it again here. When I try to go to sleep, as someone that's dealt with insomnia before, I will focus on my breathing. And when a stray thought comes in, I'll recognize it and then turn my attention back to breathing again. And before I know it, I'm asleep. Now that works really well for me, but that exercise is actually meditating and practicing mindfulness. So sitting there and not necessarily trying to stop thoughts from popping in, but when they do, validate them, recognize them that they're there, and then ask yourself, do I believe that to be true? Ask yourself, is it true? Because our thoughts lie to us all the time. And what we treat as actual fact. One of the things that I learned in therapy and going to that psychologist years ago was he told me to think about my thoughts as a separate person. And that sounds like crazy talk. When he said that to me, I was like, but that sounds like I'm a crazy person if I think my thoughts are a different person entirely. But I don't actually think that, but thinking about your thoughts as basically objectively, taking a step back, zooming out, and objectively looking at the thoughts that we had and asking those things. Is it true or is it just noise? And if it's just noise, then you can recognize that, okay, that's not me, that's not true, that's just doing what the brain does. The brain is such a fascinating thing, and it does weird things sometimes. Practicing this self-awareness, even you thinking and listening to this podcast right now, you're probably thinking about your thoughts, maybe a little bit. I have in the past 4 minutes and 50 seconds. I've thought about what it is that's going through my mind. I've had random thoughts about my dogs, and I have a picture of a fireplace sitting on my TV right now, so I was thinking about that, about how nice it will be one day to actually have a real one instead of having to put one on TV. So random little things that come in. The other day I had a thought when I was doing my hair. I'm very routine. I like doing things the same all the time. So I will wear my hair one style for months and not change it. I'll always do it in the same bun. I'll always do it in the same way. And then I'll get tired of that, and then I'll switch it up. So lately what I've been doing is I wear my hair in 2 braids. And because I've had my hair in a bun for so long, when I put my hair into braids, I realized that it looks so thin compared to what it used to. And it, compared to when I was 18, for example. And the thoughts were coming into my head that it wasn't pretty. And because it wasn't as thick as it used to be. And I realized that wasn't true. That the hair thickness that I have for my age is actually not thin at all. I just have very, very fine hair. So when it's down, it looks very poofy and thick. But when I put it in like a tight braid, then it looks a lot thinner. Does that make sense? So sometimes thoughts come into our head that are not true. That after I thought I had the thought, and then I thought about the thought, and whether it was true or not true, and I came to the conclusion that it wasn't true. That actually, no, my hair's perfectly fine the way it is. And recognizing the fact that also a lot of people wear hair extensions nowadays. So there's a lot of fake, especially in social media, especially online, especially just in the world we're living in now. It's so easy to scroll through social media and see all these, or even commercials, growing up, see all these women with long, beautiful, thick hair and think, oh, mine's so thin in comparison. But I was actually watching a show from the 90s the other day, and I was looking at their hairstyles, because that's just what I do. And I realized back then people didn't really wear hair extensions. Wigs, sure, in whatever, certain movies or shows. But I realized that my hair's perfectly fine the way that it is. Little insecurities, when insecurities pop into our head, or when we're scrolling through social media, if we are insecure about, like for me, for my hair, those thoughts come into my head. Oh, mine doesn't look like that. Taking a step back, taking that zooming out and looking at it from the bigger picture. Is it true? Is it fact? Do I really believe this? Or is this my brain throwing weird things in there? My insecurities popping in there as well, which is a whole nother topic we'll save for another day. But those random thoughts that pop in. Learning how to be very, very self-aware of your thoughts is a tough one. But if you practice it, and you could even make yourself a little sticky note somewhere, or make a wallpaper for your phone to remind you to think about your thoughts. And the next time you're down, if you can stop and just notice them instead. What if we could just stop and take a pause and notice the thought, quickly analyze true, fact, do I believe it, etc., and file it away. Let it just go. Recognize that you had it. When I look in the mirror sometimes, like, yeah, my hair looks thin. And then I'll realize, but it's not. It's just my hair type. It looks fine just the way that it is. And move on. Meditation, like I said, I think a lot of people have that misconception that it's clearing your mind and not thinking about anything. But it's not. It's noticing that you had it and let it pass and return to whatever it is that you're focusing on. And we can do that not just when we're in sitting and actually having a meditation session. You can do this throughout your day. I can do this when I brush my hair. When those thoughts come in and go, ugh, I don't like my hair, or your hair is thin, or whatever, I can be like, yeah, but it's really healthy and I still love it. Whatever. The next time you have a thought that triggers an insecurity in yourself, like I had about my hair, I would encourage you to pause and ask yourself, is this actually true? Do I want to believe this? Or is this just my brain doing what the brain does? And what if it is true? What if it is true? To some degree, yes, my hair is probably half as thick as it used to be when I was 18. If I think about my ponytail size and the size of my braids growing up, they were twice as thick. I lost a lot of hair when I had my kids. They just took it all. So to some degree, yes. Is my hair a lot thinner than it used to be? Yes. But do I think that it still looks good? Yeah. Am I still probably going to be a little bit insecure about it? Probably. And another thing that I'll share is that our thoughts can really send us down a rabbit hole of hurt and pain if we don't stop and catch them at the top of the spiral. This is why I wanted to do this episode, because if you've been here for a while, you'll know that I struggled with depression in the past. One of the things that I learned through those dark times was catching the bad thoughts, the untrue thoughts at the top of that downward spiral. If you can catch bad thoughts, especially when they lead to a certain insecurity that you have, it can be more profound than your hair. You know, your weight. I'm insecure about my weight, about a lot of things. We all have insecurities, and our brain will throw random thoughts in there, and then we get triggered. And if we don't practice this, it can really lead to a dark place. Learning to catch the thought at the top of that spiral before you go down the rabbit hole of, oh, my hair looks thin. Oh, my hair used to be a lot thicker. Oh man, I'm getting old. I'm really sore today. My body seems to be deteriorating. Why is it that I feel like I don't look pretty anymore? I feel like my husband doesn't want me anymore. I feel like blah, 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 blah. It can spiral. If we don't catch it at the top and say, and like I said before, is it true? Yeah, my hair is thinner than before, but does that really fundamentally matter? No. Is it a lot harder for me to lose weight? the other thing that I'm insecure about? Yes. But am I exercising every day? Am I eating healthier? Am I getting a handle on it? Gradually, yes. So when I look in the mirror and I don't particularly like what I see, I can catch those negative thoughts before they spiral down too far. And I want that for you too. Learning to really tune in and recognize your thoughts and knowing where to file them so that you can stop the spiral down. Talk kindly to yourself. Yes, I'm a little bit more overweight now. However, my body type has completely changed. My hormones have changed. Talking kindly to myself that I'm on the right path. I'm getting stronger. I'm getting over an injury from last summer. So things are going to take a little bit longer. Yes, my hair's thinner, but is it the end of the world? No. I am on this journey with you guys. Do I 100% stop all the thoughts before I'm spiraling down? No. But I'm trying every day that when I do have a thought like that, a lot of the times I will talk it out with my husband, and then he will help me recognize that I'm not being 100% rational. And then it helps when you bounce ideas or thoughts like that off of someone that you trust, that's going to be kind to you and love you, then it can help you recognize when you're starting to spiral down as well. And this is a hard thing to get into the practice of doing, but the more that I am thinking about mental health, the more that I am practicing the coping techniques and everything else that I'm sharing here and on social media, that constantly reflecting every night through journaling and reflecting on my day and reflecting on my own thoughts. You could, if you journal, you could even put that in your journal. What kind of thoughts did you have today? Were they true? Or should we file them in the corresponding box? As you go through your day today, if you take nothing else from this episode, remember that you cannot control your thoughts. They are going to come. What you do with them after is up to you. You just have to decide which ones deserve your attention and which ones don't. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Advice, guidance for resilient souls. May you stay anchored in what steadies you, rise resilient through what challenges you, and carry calm into whatever comes next. Take care. Love ya. Bye.